So we can start in the with the second panel. I'm really happy that we have such a group of guests here for the second panel. It was easy for me to jump into this second panel after the first one because there was already mentioned that the most important thing in the discussion of smart city is the human being. Without them, we don't need a city, and without them, we cannot develop such a city. So when we start from this principal idea that the humans are the center of the discussion, then of course it is easy to talk about the education of the humans, so that they are able to develop, that they are able to participate in development of smart city. So from this point of view, it was an excellent bridge to our second level, what was said already in the first one. And I was asked to give, as a kind of input to this discussion, a short presentation about vocational training as one of the key factors from my point of view, but also from a growing number of people's point of view. Since this, we also heard, in Albania we have, let's say, I exaggerate a bit, we have the situation that we have a lot of chiefs, but very few Indians. And this means we have a lot of academics knowing how to delegate, but we don't have people who take it. So, or with other words, we have a lot of architects, but no bricklayers. And so for building a house, we only need one architect, but many bricklayers, many electricians, many plumbers, etc. So from this point of view, I wanted to give this kind of flashlight, how important the Indians are. So there I have to go to the So I know that in Albania the problem is that the status of non-academic education is not very high. This has historical reasons, we know it. This has historical reasons. Now parents think, like always and everywhere on the world, parents think the best what I can do for my child is to send it to university. Since I never was able to do that, most of the Albanians could not study, the parents' generation, so they said, okay, the best is to study. And they even didn't answer the question, what is the best, what are the best studies? Studying itself is already high appreciated, and so we have had a situation that the academic system was blown up very quickly with the results we know now, so that we have to close a lot of these so-called universities. But in the same time, the vocational training system, which was well established in the former system with more than 400 vocational training schools, was destroyed. Today we have about 45 schools left, and most of them left with the same status of So what I mean is that we have labor market needs which are meanwhile well defined. We are talking about tourism, we are talking about smart city, and we learned this morning already how many people are necessary for the connections, for the maintenance of a smart city. And all the other areas which are future areas for Albania, all these areas need high qualified people. Even the farmers should be qualified. What does it mean, even? food is one of the most important things we need. So the farmers should be very well qualified so that they could be much more effective than they are recently. I think when we compare it with similar situations in countries where the farmers are better educated, they have 2 or 3 times fruits in the year. Yeah, you could have the same. Albania is the country with a lot of water, with a lot of sun, with good earth, and so everything could be done much better. So what I said already, recently compared with the other situation, we have, let's say, a bit outdated schools mostly, not all of them, of course. And when we see the education, it is still, let me say that as an EU European, don't be angry, it still looks socialistic, the education, by two reasons. There is too many fact learning and too few process learning. This is the first. I never learned more people in the transformation countries, and I worked in all of them, in all European transformation countries between Tallinn and Tirana. All of them knew much more facts than I ever did. But the processes, how to organize work, how to teamwork, how to have a midterm and long-term working strategy, all these things are not part of education still. So, and this is what we miss also, and this is mentioned by many Albanians, we miss entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship means thinking into the future, making strategies, etc. Of course, I know things are changing, and we have already good examples, but especially for that, we should try to have more good examples about the school in the school system. So what I mean is that many students, and we have a kind of baby boomer situation in Albania. In 1990, Albanian birth rate was the highest in Europe. Today, by the way, it's more or less the lowest one. So this means maybe in 20, 25 years we don't have the problem with youth unemployment any longer. But this is not a good message. It's not a good message. A good message is that you now have the so-called human capital to develop a country, nearly not comparable with all the Western European countries. They would be happy to have so many young people. They would be happy. So, but most of them were sent into studies, and we know when we see the real unemployment of youngsters between 15 and 29, we are reaching 60%. When I say that I also count unemployment, that people who learned a lawyer are now working as waiters. This for me is not employment. Yeah? So it's employment for 3 or 4 months in the year. So we should be, let's say, true with the facts. So we already destroyed the future perspectives of many youngsters with the wrong advices, what they shall learn, what they shall study. So we have broken promises because all of them invested a lot, especially also the families, the parents. They invested a lot of money to pay the to pay the fees for the universities. So there was invested already much in single persons. And what happens afterward with most of them, not all of them, of course, but most of them, they are not finding a respective job, and so we destroyed their perspectives. So what I said already, we have a lot of managers, human resources, market manager, logistic manager, security manager, etc. All of them have a certificate of university. And Herbert is the working guy. So you can believe me that the hole will be not very deep. But we have a good IT management and a good press releases. So I think we need more of non-academic specialists. And I am personally, I believe, a well-qualified specialist now in the non-academic area. will earn much more than most of the professors on universities. This we have also to tell parents. I always said, after high school, I didn't study. I made car mechanics, and then I studied. And I always tell the youngsters, if I had wanted to earn money, I had stayed car mechanics. Today, I would earn much more. So, and this is the truth in most of the Western European countries too. You cannot believe how much plumbers are now beloved by people when they come. When they come, yeah? So we don't have too many of them, and Albania has even less. So, when I talked about the labor market, it is not a market. Because on the market, normally, there are people offering something, and others come to the market and buy. The problem is in the labor market, the suppliers of labor, the youngsters, are not offering the right goods. So, the buyers are not coming. So, when we ask employers, they say, we are needing handicrafts, we are needing well qualified non-academic professions, and we don't find them. They even bring them from other countries, from other continents. Can you imagine, with 60% youth unemployment, we import young people, qualified people from other continents. This is, in a way, let's say, gives us a question mark. So there is no trade between the employers and the workers, or the future workers. So we have to work for a real labor market. This means we have to work for the right professions to be sold on this market. So, as I said already, we have a lot of future-orientated areas in Albanian economy. Landscape and urban planning, services, energy production, service. Everybody thinks, oh, in service we are good. But you don't have qualified secretaries. You don't have secretaries who know what to do with folders, who know where to find a folder which is 3 years old. Can you imagine that in most of the offices? And sorry, I fear also in ministries. So even there where you think that you have well-qualified people, we need much more. So we have water supply, we have healthcare, we have welfare, and also the elders' care is a growing sector. And everywhere on these areas we need qualified people. So this is the first, I think we have to know whom do we need, and then we have to go to the parents, who mostly still decide what their children do, in contrary to Western Europe. I always did the contrary, my father said. Here it's different. So we have to teach parents, really, that life is different than they think for the future of their children. So, you know that. So, in each level, we need well-qualified people, people who believe in that, what they are doing. Yeah? So a lawyer who is a waiter is not believing in his job. So he's not doing a good job, mostly. Of course, he didn't learn how to serve people as a waiter. And he doesn't love his job. So when people don't love their job, sorry, who would do the best? Nearly nobody. So, this is the plan B. I always call it plan B for the parents. Yeah, the plan B is a skilled worker. Maybe is better than a very well-skilled professor who is looking for a job. And especially in the country where I think the families in general are not very rich, they need the income of people. So this for me is an argument. A skilled worker will earn a lot here in this country. Believe me, when I look for somebody to make furniture, first of all I have to look very long. Then when I found the right one, by propaganda, mouth propaganda,
then I get the message, oh, the next 3 months I'm absolutely full. So the well-qualified people really are looked for. So what we need, and this is the reason why we talk about a dual education system, and this is not only for the non-academic studies, but also for the academic one. We need really the integration of practice and theory. In most of the schools we are working on that. Theory. We have a lot of theory. People know everything. So you have electricity or, let's say, engineers, but they cannot repair a small water pump. Because you can learn on the job, then you can do the recent work. But you are not somebody to go to the boss and say, hey, boss, I have a good idea. Can we do it in this way? Can we do it in this way? Yeah? So they need qualification. We call it key qualifications to jump to the next levels, to be with the development of the field they are working on, or be even a part of the development. In Germany, we sometimes said, especially as trade union, we always say, use the gold in the brain of the workers. They know mostly better what to make better in companies than many academics. Believe me, most of yes, I have to hurry up. So you see, I'm really believing in that. So we need practice, we need social expertise, and we need professional expertise. Then we have, let's say, the right mixture for a future-orientated education. On each level, there is no difference in this principle. So, and here we come to the partners, the needed partners. They are still missing in vocational training and in education in general. They are still missing. Some of them woke up. Some of them already are asking, can we do something? Some of them are really offering practice workspaces for students, yeah, for practica, for internships. But it is not enough, and of course, as I always say, who else than the people in the labor world should know what is needed in labor world? They know it better than politicians, sorry again. But it is the truth. They know it better. So they should be part of curriculum development for the professions, of course. Yeah. So, and they also should be part of certification. Yeah. So, from this point of view, employers should be attracted much more. So, this is the last sheet. Fortunately enough, these are the perspectives. We will have jobs, we will have well-equipped schools, and we will have happy youngsters. And so I hope we also will have functioning smart cities, because the bridge to the smart city is very, very clear. It was said already, in the smart city, we need each citizen to be part of developing this smart city. This means we need citizens in all professions which are really committed to that what they are doing, and so they are also committed to their smart city. Thanks a lot for this, for listening.